You are mercenaries of some sort, or perhaps merely traveling warriors. Swords for hire, or adventurers looking to do a good job. One way or another, you've heard that there is a hamlet on the edge of a ruined countryside. The Baron, who now resides in this hamlet, keeps a large company of mercenaries and pays those who can fight well to explore the lands of his ancestors, which are now corrupted by darkness and various eldritch things. This day, the Baron has sent out runners to his hired hands, and you're one of the ones who's answered the call. Baron's study is richly furnished. There are cabinets filled with weapons and portraits of various figures on the walls. The Baron stands behind his desk. You've probably met him briefly prior to this, but the others you may have met if you were in the tavern, otherwise you might not know them yet. Baron smiles at you. Welcome. Standing at the front of the group is a halfling dressed in splint armor. Do you want to describe Nettie?
Sure. Nettie is halfling dressed in splint armor, who is a cavalier and rides a. This time she'll probably be taking her pony. Sometimes she rides a boar. She's able to run between people's legs, which is real convenient in a battle. And that's about all I have to say.
I'd also note that Nettie has a lazy eye, if you look at her picture.
Oh, okay. Nettie has a lazy eye.
Yes, canonically, Nettie has a lazy eye, but
That's
she can
quite
still
funny.
see just fine.
Oh,
Who's
wait.
Valor?
I looked at that. I've never paid attention.
So Valor is at this point. Oh my god, sorry, I'm just fighting with my bio at this point, like the screen. Anyway, continuing the description. He is at this point obviously a tiefling, though without horns, wearing a large overcoat as well as a hat and mask and glasses that don't cover him as much as he was adamant about doing. Instead, he carries himself with a bit more confidence nowadays, with a gun slung over his shoulder, an arquebus specifically. He's been on quite a few expeditions at this point, and is eager to go on the next.
Oh yeah. Who is Jack? Oh wait,
Jack's not here.
I forgot. He's not here. Jack pops in the door. Sorry guys, I cannot come today. There was a really big fish I caught yesterday, and I'm busy butchering it. Who's Alaric?
Alaric is a devout follower of Latharder, the god of light. His patron god is the symbol of birth, renewal, and spring, and youth, as well as athletics, self-perfection, vitality, and creativity. He's a god of many things. He is the god of dawn, which represents the potential of a new day, a god of hope and beginnings. Lathander's name is invoked at the start of new endeavors, whether sealing a new deal or setting out on a new journey. Alaric travels to the ruined countryside to spread faith and hope in this bleak land. With the Baron's permission, he hopes to establish a shelter for the faithful if there is not one already. In time, he hopes the Baron will convert to the one true faith.
The Baron waves his hand when he sees Ulrich giving him a short military salute. Good to see you, and about the matter you'd asked him about the other day, yes, there is a temple in the hamlet. Some of the clerics and paladins in my employ spend their days there, and I think they'll probably give you room and board as well, if you visit them after the expedition. It's a temple that worships various deities of the pantheon. Some worship gods of civilization there, but many worship gods of light and the harvest. Among the common folk, Pelor is most certainly the favorite deity, also a deity of light, and I believe that they're associated with Lathander. They're allies in the divine realm, or so I've heard.
That's great to
So
hear.
yes, your faith will be quite welcome there, and I believe one of our other clerics already worships Lathander as well.
Thank you, Baron Rossmore. You strike me as a devout man. Would you agree?
Oh, he scratches his head. I wouldn't call myself devout, but there is certainly a place in the military and on the battlefield for agents of the light.
It's never
Who's
too
Smith?
late.
Alright, Smith is kind of walks in rather unassuming human man. He's not wearing his helmet when he comes in. He's wearing some kind of it's well worn but also well maintained armor and a simple longsword and shield strung on his sides. And maybe those that know him, or maybe he's been around the Hamlet for a few days, people would know he's not a complicated man. He fights to protect the good and slay the evil, believing that it's not hard to tell the two apart, and people that overcomplicate such matters are often fools. No dark shadows haunt his past. He writes to his still living family from time to time, and he comes home after his adventures to his non-murdered wife. While he possesses no grand ambitions, he seeks adventure, even at the cost of danger. After all, hardship builds character and makes for some good stories, plus the pay is good. He recently came to the Hamlet, maybe a few days ago, he never really gave any strong reasons. He moved there with his wife, and he almost immediately went to go speak to the Baron, asking for employment. Seems rather excited to embark on an adventure, knowing that there are certainly dangers. When I walked into the room, you all look like good fellows. Nice to meet you. Then he sits down on the couch.
All right. The Baron pulls out a map and lays it across the table. And what you see now is the map that he has. It looks kind of like it's a little bit messed up and perhaps undergone a bit of restoration. There's burned sections in the corners of it. It looks like it's damaged with age and got bits of mildew. It also looks like it's been cleaned and maybe waxed a few times to preserve it and can cause its structural integrity to last a little longer. And it's got various sites dotted on it in ink, some of which have been added fairly recently. There's numbers on the map, and the Baron points to numbers saying these have been added to mark approximately how long it takes each expedition to get to that point. Your expedition will probably be 2 weeks or more. You'll be in the ruined countryside for 14 days. I don't think that any expedition in at least the last couple months, this season or the last, has traveled that long in these twisted lands. You will face danger and darkness, there is no doubt of that. Creatures may be drawn to your firelight, or you may face horrors in the dark. Your mission will be to explore the cove. Previous expeditions have gone to the pier. It's an old site when, in my ancestors' time, ships would moor there to do trade. It was a bustling metropolis at one point. Well, that's not the right term, not a metropolis, but it was a maritime hub of trade of sorts. My ancestor would entertain many guests from afar, trying to collect their valuables and no doubt swindle them in whatever way he could. But I suspect that if you travel along the coastline, who knows what you might find. There could be structures of some sort, perhaps some sort of trading outpost, likely now ruined. Ships moored off the coast in other places. There's also the unfortunate matter of the new residents of the cove. Previous expeditions have found that there is a haze that hangs overhead, some sort of fog and cloud cover that's present even when it's sunny, just beyond the borders of the cove. Some ill spell has taken over that place, and there are humanoid creatures that look like they're from the sea and they're hostile toward those from the land. I have no doubt that you will encounter them on your travels there, so be prepared. They have almost killed 2 other expeditions who went there before. Also, there is the matter of our holy water stocks. Halfway to the ruined country, on the day of the journey, you'll reach the pier. You should pass by a church along the road. It's fallen into disrepair, but the man who lives there is still a worshipper of the light, and he has a sizable pond or fountain of sorts that has holy water in it. A previous expedition, he offered 5 casks of it in exchange for rescuing his son, who'd been ensorcelled by something from the sea. After the son was rescued, he made good on his word and gave us 5 barrels of holy water. I'm only going to send you with 2 casks since I wouldn't want to impose on him. He hasn't made any new offers. But see if you can get him, if he'll allow us to fill the buckets in his stores. I wouldn't want you to take it by force or fill casks from his well if he doesn't give permission. I don't know the nature of holy water, and its source, but I fear that it might be somehow ruined if you were to attack that cleric. He might be the reason that it's there. So you will be given 2 barrels and expected to take the wagon and recover 2 new casks of holy water, should blind fishermen allow it. There's a stream, we call him a fisherman because there's a stream next to his residence, and he's quite fond of fish in the sea. He's blind, so you'll have to be a little patient with him, and also perhaps his mind is not quite where it was when he was younger. So yes, travel to the cove, and I'd like you to walk up the coastline looking for any sorts of sites of interest or things which might contain the treasures of my ancestor. Any questions?
Smith kind of stands up. Well, not really. Guess it's job's laid out for us, isn't it?
There is one more thing. The son of Thelos, he came down with some sort of curse after spending much time by the sea, according to his father. And before I send expeditions all the way up to the Salt Tower, I'd like to send a shorter one that spends only 1 or 2 nights along the side of the bay. In fact, only spend 1 night there. Spend 1 night by the sea, travel up half a day, and then come back. That way we can study the effects on you after you return, before we send an expedition to travel for greater distances along the cove. I know it's a risk. I will make sure you're paid. I'll pay you 10 extra gold in addition to the normal pay for taking the risk of spending a night there and risking any curse that might come with it. We have many clerics in the hamlet, though, and should something afflict you, I'm sure we'll be able to deal with it.
Sounds good, as I'm dead broke at the moment.
And on the way back, or on the way there, if you wish to stop at the Wasteland Complex or Garadhi to do some extra looting and searching, or you merely feel like going in one of those places, you're welcome to do so as well.
Look at the assortment tab. Take.
And the Baron gestures to his cabinets at that point. You see many weapons, a suit of plate armor with some orange stains on the edges of some of the plates, as well as various other stones and trinkets. This is my collection. Most of it's been gathered from the ruined countryside, although some of them were mine before. Each of you may take one of these things with you on your journey. Please bring them back, and if one of you should fall, I would ask that you return the possessions he carried to me.
Alaric speaks up. Can I take the ring of swimming, please?
Yes, that would be quite wise, considering where you're going.
Thank you, Baron.
Smith will look the suit of armor up and down and says, I'll take that for the Sir Malith armor of the afflicted.
Perfect. In fact, Smith, you remind me of its previous owner. There was a knight in this hamlet named Sir Albert, and you'll find his body at the temple. I'm afraid that a friend of his has refused to let him pass. Although he's quite dead, I assure you. He wore that armor for quite a while, and I think it fits you.
I see. Well, hopefully I can live up to his good name and not share his fate.
Indeed. Valor, my favorite marksman. What can I get for you?
Well, I'm the only marksman here as far as I know, but I was admittedly considering perhaps not the assortment of your the relics specifically, but maybe something from the armory. I've not really had the chance to acquire a crossbow of my own, and that I believe would be very useful for more longer range engagements, especially if we encounter that spider moose monster thing again.
That's quite fine. I will loan you a heavy crossbow from my armory, as well as 2 bolt cases and 40 bolts.
20 bolts will do with one bolt case, but thank you very much.
Very well. 20 bolts in a bolt case. He calls for the guard. Standing also next to him is a gloomy-looking fellow with a great shield, dressed in splint armor, wearing a helmet, and in the back of the room, a man-at-arms with a poleaxe and mail armor. And those two are mercenaries who are also in the Baron's employ, but they stand guard since the Baron's common guards probably couldn't handle most mercenaries if a fight were to break out. So his personal guard goes and gets the crossbow for Valor.
I'm wondering if I could also get some crossbow bolts.
Nettie.
He speaks up. Is it possible for me to get another, since we're going to be gone so long, I've got 17, but I could use another case of crossbow bolts. And a few
I have
more
plenty of
torches.
them in my stores, Nettie, and normally I expect the hired hands to pay for their own ammunition. But if you're short on funds somehow, I can
I'll happily pay for
help
it.
you some, I suppose.
Oh no, I'm not short on funds. I'll happily pay for it. I just need to get some, and I should have gotten some earlier. I didn't know the mission would be so long.
Very well. It's I think it's one gold piece for 20.
Okay, I'll take 20 then, please.
Would you take an item from my collection, Nettie?
Um,
Keep you safe on your journey.
You don't have. I see that the Sword of Chivalry only has one hit left, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Or does it have two now? Hasn't he recovered?
No, it was taken on last expedition and used almost to expenditure.
Okay, then I shall take. There are no healing potions in there. Is that correct, or is there a healing potion?
No, the last one was used to save a life from the last expedition.
Okay, then I shall take an eyeball if I could.
You could just take the Sword of Chivalry. Its healing properties they regenerate, unlike the eyeball, and it has a single charge, just as the eyeball would.
I guess this is true, but then it won't have any charges for future expedition.
We'll regain 2 at the end of the week, even if its
Okay.
third is used.
Alright, I shall take that then.
Unlike a man which must rest, a magic sword regains its power whether it's used or not.
Alright, I'll take the Sword of Chivalry then.
Right. And it's a magic sword. It will bypass the resistances of many creatures, I imagine.
Alright, thank you.
The Baron looks at his sheet of provisions, or like a list of things commonly sent on expeditions. By the way, this expedition details, you're all welcome to edit it during the travel to write like who's scouting, driving, etc. and describe your And also, on the last expedition, I noticed that I think it was Austin, you wrote some of the items down. With loot that's not like treasure, or something that isn't gold or gems or valuables, things like weapons or common items. The Baron doesn't take that stuff, so any of the players who want it should add it to the character sheet and say they're taking it at the time when it's found. So if Austin, if you want to add any of those items to other characters who's on that expedition, you can add them to his inventory. Otherwise, I'm just deleting them from this document.
Sounds good.
So the common provisions for an expedition, he's going to send like 15 days of food and water, as well as feed for the horse and a whole in fact, I think 2 casks. So the wagon will actually be pretty full this time, with 2 casks intended for holy water and 2 casks of water for the horse since you're traveling through the wasteland, and also for the hired hands since there aren't many streams for part of where you'll be traveling. In addition, 2 water skins are sent for each person. That's enough for 1 day's water. And there's 30 torches, 4 oil flasks, a healer's kit, a sack, a 150-foot rope coil, a blanket, a hand axe, a shovel, a crowbar, a tinderbox, and a 10-foot pole, as well as a 10-foot ladder and 2 buckets. The buckets are generally used for filling one's used for watering the horse, and the other is used for scooping water out of a cask into the horse's water bucket. Is there any other provisions that the hired hands want?
You said there's a rope in there, is that correct?
Yes,
There's
150-foot rope.
Okay, got it.
Smith carries
What
the
a
healer's
rope
kit
for
as
it.
well.
Do you have
Perfect.
a rope ladder by any chance?
We have a ladder. I'm
No
not
rope
sure
ladder.
a rope ladder is something we have currently.
Okay.
It's a good
well,
idea, though. Perhaps one
What
could
a
be
net. Do you have a net by any, or can I'll just take one of my nets. That's what I'll do. I'll just take one of my nets with me.
Yes, if I recall, you did buy like a good handful of nets from my stores the other week.
I
when you
did,
were
that's
casting
correct.
that
So
sword
I'll
of
just take
yours.
my own.
And yes, there is a 10-foot wooden ladder that is commonly sent in the wagon when hired hands take one. Well, good luck on your journey. Please come back in one piece.
Certainly, I believe we all plan to. Hopefully I've got all my fingers and toes.
Right.
Great.
You set off into the ruined countryside, rolling over the hill. For spring, it's gotten a lot drier, and after the last expedition, the rain stopped, and it hasn't rained in a couple days. You pass by. There's some clouds scattered in the sky, but other than that, it's a balmy spring morning. The road is surrounded by forests on both sides, and stretching to the north over the tops of the trees, you see some high mountain peaks. After 8 hours of travel, it's the late afternoon or the early evening, and the horse has gotten tired. And by the way, what's your when you're traveling? Is there anything you guys are doing? And what's your marching order like? Is someone scouting in front? Yeah.
If no one else wishes to do so, then Smith will probably drive the wagon.
I'm on my
Alaric,
pony.
Rests his helmet on the seat beside him and just looks around, kind of taking in the sights of the ruined countryside, having never seen it before, and occasionally like pointing off in the distance and asking, "Hey, what is that?" to anyone else in the wagon.
I'm
Alex,
gonna ride my pony up ahead. I'll scout ahead a little bit ahead of the wagon.
Nettie's scouting on her pony.
Yeah, as I also wrote down, Valor is also going to be scouting ahead.
And I just remembered that since there's 4 barrels in the wagon already, that plus the feed and all the other supplies, I think there's almost no room to actually ride in the wagon. Oh yeah, there actually is one other seat. There's 2 seats up front, so one the driver, and then somebody can sit next to Farah at the front of the wagon if they want to. Or sorry, Smith.
Alaric
Farah.
will sit with the driver.
All right. And that leaves Valor. Are you walking in front of the wagon, scouting off to the side, walking behind the wagon, walking to the side?
Yeah,
of
as I
it?
mentioned, I'd also be scouting, though I'm probably taking a bit of a different direction than Nettie, who, if I'm not mistaken, was mentioned to be scouting ahead, so I guess I'd be more so towards the side, looking at our flanks.
All right. The first day's travel passes uneventfully. You see some animals that come veer out in the woods, and it seems like the place is alive, except for the patch of dead, fungus-covered trees that's fairly near the hamlet, about an hour into the ruined countryside. I'm assuming you passed that by, but if anyone wants to do something with that, let me know. What sort of spot are you camping when the night falls? There's a camp with a bit of a clearing on the side of the road, about 1 day's journey away, which people often camp by, or you could camp like deeper into the trees or on a different spot up by the road.
What do you guys think?
Well, could just camp it on the road after all, might make things easier, but I don't know, what do you guys usually do?
We've camped in clearings, we've camped in the trees. Things have gone well in both places, things have gone poorly in both places.
Exactly, nowhere is really safe here.
Alright, then
about
Smith
the clearing?
takes out a coin and says, well, heads will camp on the road, tails will camp in the trees.
Okay.
Well, I guess we'll camp on the roads. He flips the coin and it comes up heads.
Okay.
Right? You camp probably somewhere in the road by the forest. Anything you guys are doing while you're setting up camp and during the night? What's the watch schedule like? And do you make a fire?
I'd like to take
Smith
first
would-
watch if possible.
Vote yes for a fire. I believe the watch schedule is already written
Okay.
down.
Yeah, it's
as
there, but
people
I'm
had in the chat.
yeah, I'm willing to switch with Nettie to take second watch and stuff.
That's okay, I'll take second watch, I don't care. What do you feel?
I don't mind.
You don't mind?
We can just do this as we can just do this as is to simplify.
We can do it as is. Then nobody has to write anything else.
Alright,
Okay.
you gather firewood and make a fire, is that right?
Yes.
Go ahead to fire, right? I'm not sure fires are always the best thing either, but if you want to fire, I'm good with it. Need to see if we can light torches rather quickly then.
Smith would walk over to Alaric, maybe while he's praying, and say, "Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but tell me, what are you doing?"
I am praying to my god, Lanthadar, for us to have a pleasant and peaceful, and hopefully a journey that does not end in misfortune. I'm praying for our well-being.
Yes, I would. It's nice. I would hope so as well. Put in a good word for me, will you?
I will. But you can tell him yourself. Join me in prayer.
Must admit, I don't do this often, so I'm a little. I'm not sure I know what to do.
It's okay. Just sit down. Close your eyes. Think good thoughts. Think to the gods of light.
Aye, that I can do. And Smith would he sit down and kneel beside Alaric, and Tam he starts mumbling out some kind of cheesy and things like, "Oh yes, thank you. Please watch over us." Things of that sort.
All right.
He seems to do it in good faith.
Make just roll a d20, Para. I'm sorry, not Para. Smith. Jesus.
Oh, look at that.
I wonder how many more
feel-
slip-ups we're gonna have. Oh my god.
You feel comforted by this prayer that Alaric, and by Alaric's faith in the gods, and you will have advantage on the first wisdom saving throw you make this expedition.
Nice.
So the night passes fairly uneventfully. However, there are sounds in the night, just animals. Perhaps you hear an owl hoot at one point. But then, though your watches go on eventually, something happens while you're sleeping. Everyone is afflicted with horrible nightmares. Nightmares of the sea and of changing. Make a wisdom saving throw, all four of you.
Oh my god, okay.
Ready.
Bro, giving us a fucking saving throw immediately to take it away.
Good wisdom. Dang.
Oh,
Smith
hell
rolls
yeah.
with advantage.
Okay, it was DC 12, so everyone but Ulrich, your wisdom scores are reduced by 1.
Oh,
Wait, shouldn't
no.
Nettie's wisdom be back to normal?
Oh, yeah, my
Yes.
wisdom.
Oh,
should be-
Yeah,
You know what,
Nettie,
I was
So it
only-
wouldn't matter, but still.
your
Yeah,
wisdom
my
score is
wisdom.
now 9, Nettie, since it was 10. Back to 10 from resting, and now it's 9.
Is that
Everyone
changing?
but but Ulrich is deeply okay. Very good. Not wearing the armor, smart. Is just deeply disturbed by these nightmares, and indeed, Ulrich cannot remember if he had nightmares or not when he wakes up. But everyone else, despite the comfort of the fire, you distinctly remember feeling like you were turning into some sort of horrible eldritch fish creature in your sleep. You wake up and see that you're yourself and not some horrible thing, but you can't shake that feeling from your mind. And that's what the wisdom debuff
Let's
represents.
see. So he said, "Oh, that was bloody nasty."
Looking at my hands and feet, going, at least my fingers aren't still webbed, and feeling, oh, I had a horrid dream about turning into a fish creature.
You too? God.
Yeah.
Gods, I already had for personal experience, I've already had more of that than I would want to repeat ever again.
Well, we're not all
this-
we're having more of a. Is anyone else having fish creature dreams?
Yes, I seem we all did. Quite strange.
That's weird.
Not me.
Did you? Maybe your gods protected you.
Maybe they did.
Fear I'm only a novice at that sort of thing. I guess they didn't really hear me, did they?
Give it time. Give it time.
Aye, maybe.
Are we
You
going?
never know, Smith. Maybe the Lathander himself will deign to hold a hand over you while you sleep and protect you from nightmares.
Aye, I would hope so. I think we'll need all the protection we can get, right? And Smith, break
True
out some
that.
small rations, start eating them, and then prepare the wagon.
Sounds good. I vote we also camp by the old road again throughout this entire journey. It's a good omen.
Yes, maybe so. The road is the natural omen of goodwill and travel.
All right, you
Road will
eat
take us
Until
all
we get
places.
robbed, that is.
Indeed, until you get robbed. You eat a jolly good breakfast, and you continue along the road. After about 4 hours travel, about halfway through your distance of how far you can get, Nettie, you come to the forest breaks and you come out onto a flat grassland. There's a ridge of hills to the north of the road, which Valor walks up on top of, getting a good vantage point, while Nettie scouts ahead up on the road on her pony on the flatlands. Valor, you see probably a familiar sight: a grove of trees with a large dead one at the front, and some headstones behind the front tree, and a robed figure hovering about 5 feet off the ground in front of the large tree.
Great description, but I believe... Quick question for Joe. Would Mr. Gray have talked about his experience with the apparition last week?
Yes, likely
In that
he would
case-
have pontificated about how he challenged it and showed his great might, and the spirit defied him.
In that case, more than usual, Valor is motivated to ignore and avoid the apparition.
Very good. About 10 minutes down the road from that, you stop by a stream just on the south side of the road, and you all refill your water skins and also refill the bucket for the water the horses drank.
Smith would remark, "The water here is safe to drink, right? It's not gonna turn us all into fish people or something." Hopefully not.
About 2 hours later, you see a strange sight up ahead, Nettie, walking the road, and Valor also sees it from his vantage point. There is a large there's a pile of burned bodies on the side of the road. They're blackened, and there's like a single, one of them is impaled on a pike. There's a tall, 10-foot tall pike, a body that's kind of impaled on it, and also burned and charred enough you can't tell what it once was. And there's maybe about 7 or 8 bodies in a heap, and they're all just blackened, charcoal burned. Looks like some wood was maybe collected to start this big fire.
This is awful looking.
Indeed. Does it look like they were recently burned? Or is it possible to tell?
You remember that a expedition went this way just a week ago, and they reported no such thing. Or maybe that expedition got back maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and they said they saw no such thing. Are you getting closer? From this far away, you can imagine, based on how they're still black and haven't had stuff grow on them, they probably can't be more than a week or 2 old at most.
I've heard of bandits doing this sort of thing. We should be on guard. Smith continues to drive the wagon down the road, unless anyone objects or stops him.
You still sure about that whole camping on the side of the road idea?
This isn't looking good.
You reach the wagon just pulls right alongside the bodies. You now smell this. You smell a smell of charred flesh, and you think they are certainly not. They're probably not more than a day or 2 old. Is anyone investigating the pile, or are you kind of just looking at it in passing as you drive by?
We should. This could be an omen. We should investigate.
Alright. Hearing
I'm
that,
looking
Smith would stop the wagon and dismount and go over and assist
All
with
ne-
looking through the bodies if anyone else follows him.
Yeah. And whoever
I
is
do the
inspecting
same.
the bodies, I will pray and provide guidance from my god.
Give me investigation, whoever's inspecting the body.
I'm looking to.
Right, so that's still an 11, counting the guidance, Alaric. And I only use the first 2 rolls since one person with advantage or 2 people at most can generally use a skill check to check something out. So, Smith, you begin looking through the bodies inspired by Alaric, and you feel like these people were probably not warriors. You don't see any weapons or armor among them. In fact, you notice nothing that suggests they weren't anything other than peasants or maybe prisoners. You're not sure, but you know that there were no. You don't find any weapons or armor or pretty much anything other than the pike that the one's impaled on. Valor, You notice that there is burned cloth in there, so they were wearing clothes at least when they were burned. However, they're charred enough that you're unable to gain any other information.
I can't
One
tell the whole
person
thing.
can give me we can have 2 survival or perception checks as well. If anyone wants to make one of those checks.
Yeah, I'm gonna guide whoever is looking for tracks.
Alright, 23 perception for Smith and 7 perception for Valor. After Smith, after you've surmised that there's nothing of interest in the pile other than the fact that there's nothing with them other than some cloth that Valor finds, you notice that there are hoof prints on the road. They look like they're far enough apart that it was from a galloping horse. And they look like they're kind of going diagonally across it, different than just a horse pulling a cart. You think that someone probably was riding a horse here rather fast very recently.
Which direction do the tracks lead? Or am I able to tell?
Every which way, you notice there's at least they're going diagonally across the road at least twice in in opposite directions.
Looks like there could have been some sort of fight here. Maybe they were collecting the bodies in this portion.
Do you want to
Seems
follow the
unlikely
trail?
They dumped them all off. Well, it doesn't really seem to lead anywhere. It leads everywhere. Quite strange.
Indeed, you looking closely though, you then notice that the tracks. Oops! What the heck? My computer screen just went dark.
Oh no.
I think it's maybe I need to plug it in. That's probably why.
March. Additionally, I doubt anyone that would do this sort of thing would be foolish enough to stick around for a full day.
That's true.
So looking at the tracks, you don't notice. Somebody can give me a survival check if you're trying to determine if there's a trail leading somewhere.
I'm gonna help this person. I'm curious. This could be a sign.
15, that's pretty good.
Well, it's a sign of something for sure.
Smith, you look around to try and see if you can follow the tracks. You see some hoof prints scattered off in the grass on the side of the road looking around, so it seems like the horse is riding all around this place. However, you're unable to find like tracks leading off, although when you look at the road again, you eventually figure out that there are horse tracks leading the way you came, although you see multiple horse tracks as well as wagon wheel tracks, because you know that expeditions using horses come both ways in this spot too.
Kind of looks up. I'm afraid I can't tell where it goes. It's
Okay.
every which way. Plus remarks. You know, I have heard from some previous expeditions. A few of them now have encountered similar things, be it a large dump of bodies or into like a pool of water or something. Wonder what it all means.
That's interesting.
I know there's some towns farther up north, but nothing else in the area. Strange.
I mean, as far as it looks like, potentially it was just a group of civilians or something like that. And then potentially ambushed by something, and maybe the horses panicked, or maybe that was one of the assailants riding in a circle, something like that.
Maybe so. Who could say? Smith is gonna get back in the wagon. Either way, can't really find out where they go. I guess we'll just have to continue.
You
Agreed.
should definitely be wary on the road, though.
Certainly, I'll trust your keen eyes and marksmanship can keep us safe. No?
Hopefully.
As today's travel wears on, the sounds of animals all but become silent. You stop seeing any birds or deer or small animals in the underbrush. You've been on the road. You feel an ominous kind of lack of presence, more than a presence, an emptiness about. And you see to the north, the lowest and closest mountain has a large bone-white structure that has to be hundreds of feet across and at least 100 feet tall to be seen from this distance. You know that to be Karadhi from what the Baron has told you and what stories you've heard from other art hands. It's a place where undead live. This night of camping, you camp on the side of the road. A little bit, the quiet camp is a few minutes to the north up a little trail, but this time you don't camp there, you camp by the road. Nothing happens, the night passes uneventfully.
Nice.
Continue on the journey.
Yes.
Right. You travel past Karadhi until eventually the white structure is out of sight, although the low mountain is still visible even from a great distance. You come to a fork in the road, one leading south and the other leading straight. I'm assuming
Let's look around and say we proceed straight, right?
Unless we want to make a detour to an entirely different place, then yeah, continue on the road, I guess.
I
Fair
would
enough.
guess.
We've Baron laid out what he wanted for us to do, so we should do that, right?
I
I don't
agree.
know how
And this
things
might be
usually
one of
go.
those terrible shortcuts.
Ah, yes, I have heard of such things. Many men try to cut corners, but usually not the best. Sometimes it ends badly, you know?
All right.
They sure
are
do.
you that night? You travel for a couple more hours up the road to eventually you feel like you're going up in altitude a bit, like there's a bit of climbing a hill, and the horse gets tired before you reach the top of that hill. There starts to be some more alpine conditions. There's like a conifer forest with lots of firs and pine trees, and it's just on the edge. There is the next day will be a stream, but for now you have 2 whole casks of water, so you're doing plenty well on that. Is there anything particular you're doing during the camping and during the night?
Alaric does the
And
same
are you
thing.
making a fire? Right. The night
Then he takes
passes
care of a horse.
uneventfully, although you all find a comfort in the firelight, and you kind of feel like the expedition's going really well, and your companions have your back. As you get farther away from Cardhi, you realize this night that you can once again hear the sounds of animals, and it's comforting to know that there are things that are alive nearby, things that aren't horrible. Each of you recover 1d6 wisdom points, and since each of you are only missing 1 point, wisdom scores are restored to normal.
Hey. That's unusual.
Yes, a good thing happened. Yes.
Very
The next
unusual
day,
indeed.
you fill your water skins at a little creek that a previous expedition found. As you go to the north, Valor, you have flashbacks to, you pass a little, like a trail that's kind of, the road is broken, but you can see like 100 feet away the road starts again, leading to the north. And you know that road leads to the Village of Madness and the Ancestors' Manor. Your mind is briefly filled with various horrible fleshy things, but you drive it away with nary a struggle.
Smith looks over to the manor off in the distance. I've heard the Baron someday plans to truly take back that place. Someday, but not today.
I think I recall barely escaping with my life. I'm not mistaken.
That's
if that's
so.
the same.
I was Dagnaba.
Oh, whoops! Sorry, I don't remember anything. I didn't say
In a
that.
different life. It was certainly unpleasant, especially particular night afterwards. Fuck,
Was
it's
it
a close
now?
call. Yeah, I'd suggest don't take the money from there. Whatever you do, do not take the gold from the manor. It's
See, cursed treasure.
probably cursed. It's we almost died.
I see.
The road then bends to the south, and you feel like you're starting to go downhill again. The horse seems very happy of that. The next night passes uneventfully. I assume you're continuing to camp by the road and make a fire, is that right?
Yes.
Well, you notice it getting hotter and drier. It's like nearly 100 degrees at one point during the end of the day. And that is Fahrenheit for those Europeans. You see some forest out in the distance, and you pass an occasional copse of trees, but it starts to be drier, the earth starts to be cracked. The next day you enter what can only be described as a wasteland, and by the end of the day, the horse looks very hot and drinks extra water. All of you start to feel a little bit miserable if you're not people who like heat. You start seeing very little plant life. You see scattered rocky crags out in the desert, but it definitely feels and looks like a desert. and vultures circle overhead over your wagon for an hour near the end of the day. But you reach a site near the Wasteland Complex. And near that, just as you're preparing to make camp, you see 2 hills in the distance, and those who have heard the story recognize those as markers of where the Wasteland Complex is. I assume you're continuing along the road after that night passes uneventfully?
Yes.
Yep.
Smith would remark, I've heard of that place, but it's not our goal for today, I fear.
The expedition goes well. You travel all day long in the waste once more, and by the end of the day you know you must be close to the decrepit church, but you don't see it. Night passes uneventfully once more, and a few hours into actually just about 2 hours of travel the next day, you see in the distance a finger of trees reaching up toward the road, a stream near the trees, and a large church up ahead. You know this is where what's his name? Perilous lives, and it's where you're supposed to get some holy water.
See, as the wagon kind of gets closer to the church, Smith would kind of wait for Nettie to ride closer to her pony and then kind of look over to her and remark, well, I've heard people say that the traveling in the ruined countryside is quite dangerous and miserable, but, I don't think it's so bad.
We got real lucky.
Did we now? Is it?
Yep. We did. Had many bad nights out in the way.
So,
At this point, we would have already been assaulted by at least 8 madmen, or I don't know, had more nightmares, especially concerning that spider move still lurking in the woods somewhere. Though, all things considered, I hope it's out there still licking its wounds in its cave or whatever.
I see. Maybe my good nature and courage kept us all safe. Nah,
Perhaps.
I jest.
No, it is.
Perhaps.
And he kind of looks over at Alaric, and yes, maybe the gods really do smile upon us.
Good things happen to good
Nonetheless,
people.
let us go speak with this man in the church.
Yes, let's go.
Alright, the church, as you look at it, you get closer, you notice that there's some boarded up windows near the top. It's like a large stone building, very ornate. This must have cost quite a bit to construct and must have been quite a bustling place in its bester years. So there's a stairway going up to the door. It's made of stone. There's 2 large stone basins on either side, and as you look over the edges of them, you see that it is filled with water, although there's a film on the top of the water, and it looks a little bit gross.
Nasty.
Hmm.
Are the doors open, or?
No, there's a pair of stone doors. They're ordinary sized doors. They're double doors. I think they're made of wood, actually, not stone. I'm sorry. Although they look like they're
dismounts the
well
wagon.
maintained, unlike the rest
Once the
of the
doors.
place.
We should knock, right?
Yes, that would be the appropriate thing to do.
Usually in polite society, yeah?
Of course. And I guess if Smith is gonna walk to the doors and knock 3 times and say, hello? Is Thelos there?
There's the sound, you hear something like shuffling footsteps through a crack under the doors, and moments later the doors open. A hunched man who looks like he's at least 70 or 80 years old, is fairly plump as well, kind of like leaned with his eyes. He's wearing a red robe with a hood up, opens the door, and his eyes